The countdown reaches game number 4. From October of 1992, it's game 7 of the National League Championship Series. We begin where the game ended, at the plate, Tom.
And Bob, when you think about great base runners in history, you think about Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson, Sid Bream.
Exactly, Tom. I mean, good grief. I mean, I taught Lou and I taught Ricky how to slide. That's what happened that night.
For one night, Sid Bream was the most famous base runner in baseball. It's coming up next.
Each of these teams have played 168 games for the chance of going to the World Series. Up the middle, Lemke can't get it. And the Pirates lead 2-0.
He dives and makes a great catch.
The 2-1 pitch. Fastball line to third. Caught. Double play. Mercedes to the plate, and he is out at home. Rounded to the right. Booted by Lee. Pendleton to third on the play. And it could turn out to be the biggest error of his life as Francisco Cabrera comes to the plate to bat for the pitcher. He appeared in only 12 games this year for the Braves.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver, and it's great to have you with us as the Pittsburgh Pirates try to become just the 8th team in Major League history to come from 3 games to 1 down and win a postseason series. And by forcing a Game 7, they have another chance for Doug Drabek as he goes head-to-head with John Smoltz for the 3rd time in this series.
John Smoltz has already beaten.
And as we begin our look at game number 4 on the countdown, we welcome in the Pirates' Andy Van Slyke, Gold Glover and All-Star in that 92 season. Former Pirate Sid Bream, who had been to the postseason with them in 1990 against Cincinnati, but now has been a member of the Braves for a couple of years. And Mark Lemke, always an outstanding playoff and World Series performer, appeared in 4 World Series with the Atlanta Braves. Tom, there was already a history, Sean McDonough alluded to it, between these two teams. The previous year, they had met in the LCS. The Pirates took a 3-2 lead heading home, never scored another run against Steve Avery and John Smoltz as Atlanta won Game 6 and 7.
And this time, it's the Pirates who are coming back in the series. Game 5 and Game 6. They forced a Game 7 by outscoring the Braves 20-5. So you're thinking now momentum this year is on the Pirates side.
Yeah, they roughed up Avery and Glavine in Games 5 and 6. And now this Game 7 is the 3rd matchup between John Smoltz and Doug Drabek in this series. Now, Andy, Drabek was your ace, but he had not survived the 5th inning in his first 2 starts, and he hadn't often pitched on short rest. He started Game 4 on 3 days. He's starting Game 7 on 3 days against Smoltz, who's been lights out.
Well, yeah, the funny thing is, Bob, even before we got to that point, like Tom mentioned, we were down 3-1, and we just had a sense when we left Pittsburgh that we were going to end up in a Game 7. We were going to reverse the roles from the previous year. We knew we had a guy like Doug Drabek we could handle, that we could rely on. And even though Doug wasn't pitching up like to his Cy Young year that he had, we knew that if he got in the ball and the opportunity to shut down the Braves, that he was going to do it.
But the Braves have John Smoltz, really multiple aces on that staff. But Smoltz, you talk about Game 7. He's Mr. Game 7. It's his 3rd Game 7 that he's pitched.
And he's just a young guy.
And he's only 25 years old.
Yeah, Game 7 in the 91 NLCS when he beat the Pirates. That year's World Series when he hooked up with Jack Morris. And now here in the NLCS in 92.
Yeah, you could almost bet that Smoltz was just going to, I mean, he was one of those guys that was just lights out. I mean, in the playoffs especially. And, going into that game as well. Obviously, I mean, as we're stating here, Pittsburgh, they had the momentum shift, but, we certainly had somebody coming in there that knew how to throw shutout innings, and we were feeling pretty good as well.
The momentum may have seemed to be going Pittsburgh's way in this little slice of time, but in the overview, these are franchises going in different directions. Mark, it's the beginning of a long run of year-after-year appearances in the postseason for the Braves, and it's really the beginning of the end for the Pirates.
Yeah, I think at that time, though, you didn't really know that. And we were a young team. Of course, a lot of the guys on the team looked up to guys like Sid coming over and teaching us the winning ways that he had learned with the Pirates. And, you know, it was a make yourself believe kind of time. You know, can we do it again, or is this magic over for us? Not that any of us knew that it was going to continue on for the Braves.
And Andy, I got to ask you about this game. Game 7, always exciting, but as Bob mentioned for the Pirates, there's a lot on the line here. 90, 91, and 92. You win at least 95 games every year. There's no team in Pirates history that ever did that 3 straight years, and yet no pennants.
Right.
So knowing that Bobby Bonilla's already gone, Barry Bonds, Doug Drabek probably out the door, the day of Game 7, are you realizing that this window is closing?
Yeah, the realization that that the superstars of the ball club were going to be signed back, I think, was gone, especially when Bobby went to New York. Barry was offered a contract that didn't meet his superstar status, and it was a situation where the Pirates financially couldn't keep enough players to keep the level of play in which we were accustomed to seeing for the last 3 years. So, yeah, we knew that this was probably the last opportunity. It was an opportunity in which I really felt, as a team and an organization, we were more relaxed in 92 than we were in 91. I can't explain it. When going into 91, playing the Braves, we knew that Avery and Schmaltz had shutout type of pitching. But we didn't feel comfortable. We really did not feel comfortable in Games 6 and 7. I felt more comfortable coming back from from being down 3-1 than being up 3-1. So we knew that this was an opportunity, and I had no doubt that we were going to walk right through the window and before it shut.
Well, when that window shut, it was slammed shut. Here's a team that came within a whisker of the World Series 3 straight years and has not had a single winning season since this Game 7 in 1992.
It's remarkable, and I don't think anybody foresaw that. I mean, you talk, Andy, about knowing the opportunity was closing here, but I'm sure, and you remain there in Pittsburgh, that the years were not going to get as lean as they did.
Well, you know, at some point we're gonna probably see me crying like a baby in center field with that slide at home. But I really realized that it was over. I mean, it was really going to be over. And you know, talking with Jim Leland and talking with people in Pittsburgh, you realize that the commitment, financial commitment, to try to keep up with the bigger franchises was going to be a tough thing. You didn't have revenue sharing. They weren't signing guys back. And when that foot crossed that plate, slid across that plate, it was the nail in the coffin.
Well, let's begin now by taking a look at the lineups, and we start with the visiting Pirates. This is the lineup that Jim Leland put together. Andy, you're in the 3rd slot. You hit well over 300 again that year. Barry Bonds in the cleanup spot, and it's impossible to take your eyes off of him, and it's impossible not to note the different body type at that point. And although he was an emerging Hall of Fame player, in 7 seasons with the Pirates, he hit .275 with 176 home runs. That's an average of fewer than 30 home runs a season, and he was not a great playoff performer as a Pirate. No. 191 in 20 LCS games. In this particular LCS, he was 6 for 23 with his lone postseason homer as a Pirate and 6 walks, so he was on base a lot. And there's the rest of the lineup, and Leland has plenty of flexibility on his bench, and he'll use some of it, as will Bobby Cox, as the evening progresses. Let's take a look at Atlanta's lineup. Bobby Cox goes with Otis Nixon at the top, and you see the rest of that group. The speedster Sid Bream hitting behind Dave Justice and just in front of
I'm glad
Ron
you
Gann.
mentioned that, Bob.
Yeah. And the pitching pairing. Smoltz had gotten the better of Drabek in both games 1 and 2. For the year, Drabek 15 and 11. ERA still under 3. And Smoltz beginning to emerge as one of the best pitchers in the National League, also a 15-game winner, and their ERA is pretty close. Okay, let's turn to the game. John Smoltz getting ready. As Tom mentioned, he's already 4-0 as a postseason pitcher, and this is his 3rd Game 7 in the space of a year. 2 of them in October of '91, and this one against the Pirates. He has been sharp each time out. Doug Drabek, past Cy Young Award winner, hasn't gotten past the 5th in games 1 and 4. After an Alex Cole walk, Jay Bell is the hitter, and Damon Berryhill with a nice catch on the foul ball.
Well,
you know,
Jay
that was very typical of the way our offense was. If we had a leadoff guy, Jim Leland always used to bunt the guy over, gave me an opportunity to hopefully drive on it. If I didn't do it, then obviously we had Barry Bonds. But a lot of times, you know, they would obviously pitch to me, and a lot of times ended up pitching around Barry Bonds.
That's a fair ball. Past the dive of Sid Bream and down into the corner. Fielded by Justice. Cole will be held at third. Van Slyke into second with a double.
I can't believe that you hit one past me.
Well, you should have been playing the line. You know I hooked the ball.
So a double for Andy, who hit .324 that year.
I think being aggressive against John Smoltz was really our game plan as a team to try to get that first fastball.
And here is Barry Bonds with a leaner body and also apparently a smaller cranium, being intentionally walked.
Which is the right move. I mean, even though Barry wasn't getting the performance that we all expected him to play at, it's the right move. You got to take your opportunities and try to walk him when you can.
And he's got Orlando Merced behind him.
Sure.
Not a big power guy, good hitter, but only a 6 home run guy during the year.
Yeah, I mean, you have one out. I mean, you got a base open. I mean, shoot, you got a double play opportunity to get out of the inning right here. This is definitely the way to go for sure.
Well hit. Right field. Deep enough to get the run in as Justice makes the catch in front of the track. Cole across with the first run of the ball game, and the Pirates lead 1-0 in the first inning.
So Cole scores, and Merced delivers the sacrifice fly.
So, Andy, you've got a
and-
Game 7 on the road, and you
Right.
get a run on the board, your first at bat. How big is that?
Well, it really, I think, settled us down, and I really thought that that wasn't going to be the last run we were going to score off of John Smoltz.
Berryhill and Pendleton. It's Berryhill to end the inning. The Pirates are on the board with 1 run in the top of the first after half an inning. Pittsburgh 1 and Atlanta coming up.
So Berryhill with the second put out of the inning. Could have been worse for Smoltz. Had him loaded with 1 out, and he held them to a single run. So now Drabek with a run to work with, and Otis Nixon starts it.
Now the 2-2. Chico Lean throws him out.
Jose Lean led National League second baseman in fielding percentage
Yes,
in 1992,
absolutely.
which became an ironic stat by the time this game was over.
Yeah, it really, I mean, he was really an anchor. We had really good defense up the middle. LaValliere, Gold Glover, and with Jay Bell and Lean at center, at second, and myself in center, I really felt defensively we might have been the best club in the National League.
And a nice play here by King at third base. That retires Blauser.
And, Mark, what's the game plan going in against Drabek, seeing him now a third time in the series?
Well, I think you want to try to get on the board early, and the Pirates obviously did before us, but we're trying to get on Doug early, maybe get him thinking about his first 2 starts.
Cole to catch. The Braves go in order in the first after 1 in Game 7. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
I think the biggest difference between Doug in that game and the other games, he had total command of his curveball that night. It seemed like at any point he could throw his curveball on either side of the corner. He could throw it right down the middle low, which is, as a hitter, the hardest pitch to lay off is a curveball that's in the middle of the plate out of strike zone down. You don't do anything with it. And it seemed like when Doug needed a ground ball or throw a curveball away to maybe get a double play, he could do that at that
I think
particular
one
night.
thing to keep in mind with Drabek, though, he's comes into this game 265 in the third innings, a career high. Hadn't pitched, as you mentioned, on short rest all year long. Now he's doubling up on short rest.
Yeah.
That is going to become a factor the deeper he gets into the
Well,
game.
at that point in the season, though, Tom, I mean, your adrenaline is at its highest level. You realize what the stakes are. You don't care how many innings you pitch. You don't even care how many pitches you throw in that particular game. And I really think that's why Jim went as long as he did, even into the 9th inning with him.
All right, so after an inning in Game 7, it's 1-0 Pirates. Up next, why is Mark Lemke showing bunt with 2 strikes? The answer coming up.
I can't wait for this.
I'd like to know
I
that.
don't know either. He didn't know there's 2 strikes.
There you go.
That could be the reason.
We have reason to believe that home plate umpire John McSherry is not feeling well. During the break between innings, he took a seat. A couple of his fellow umpires came in from the field to check on McSherry, and now they're all conferring with John McSherry at home plate. He does not seem to be feeling well. You can imagine that for the umpires, this is as exciting an experience as it is for the participants, and this has to be personally greatly disappointing to John McSherry as he heads off.
Well, a couple of things about that. It was a 70-degree night in Atlanta in October. Not terribly hot, but McSherry complained of dizziness. John was a wonderful guy. Obviously, he was greatly out of shape, well over 300 pounds, and it foreshadowed what happened 4 years later on opening day in Cincinnati when he had a fatal heart attack while working home plate. The direct impact on this game is that Randy Marsh shifted from first base to behind the plate. They wound up going with 5 umpires, and Ed Montague moved from the right field line to first base.
Right, and that will come into play later on as the game goes by. But John McSherry, one of the top umpires in the game, a beloved figure in the game by the players, managers, and coaches.
Well, everybody loved him. I think, more so than the switch of umpires or who might be behind the plate or where they might move. I think it was a lot of concern amongst the players for John McSherry himself.
All right, so now McSherry has been forced to leave. Randy Marsh is behind the plate. Doug Drabek back to the mound. Bottom of the second, David Justice at the plate.
Tried to check his swing, but could not.
I mean, there again, Doug was one of those players that, when he was going good, he had the sinker that he'd throw away. He'd throw a little cutter in on the hands. He'd have that curveball. He'd have a slurve. He'd have a changeup.
See, there you go. That's the curveball I was talking about. Outside, pull it. Can't do anything with it.
And I did that a lot in my career. I just want you to know.
That's your highlight film.
That's my highlight right there.
And now here's Ron Gant.
The 1-2 pitch. Line to center on the run. Van Slyke dives and makes a great catch.
That's why you won all those gold gloves.
Well, it's good timing. You want to make sure you don't go too fast. You want to max out about 80%, and then the last two steps get about 95 and make a dive and make it look like you should never left your feet if you just kept running hard.
So it remains 1-0 Pirates. Bottom of the third. Again, Sean McDonough with the call.
Berryhill drives one to deep center field. Van Slyke on the run to the wall. It's off the wall. He has a long way to go to track it down, but Berryhill is slow, and he stops at second. The Braves have their first base runner of the night.
Not even you can get that one, Andy.
No, but, as you see, I actually probably misplayed the ball the way it shouldn't have been played. I really thought that any ball that was hitting the outfield that I could catch, but if it had been a faster runner and I played the ball like I did, he probably would have ended up with a triple. Someone fast like Sid Bream, I probably would have played it off the wall instead of tried to catch it.
Here you are, Mark.
Yeah, just trying to get Berryhill over to third base, I'm thinking, in this situation.
And you can see that's almost a ball. I mean, and he called that a strike. So we can see already that Randy Marsh is having an effect on the game.
And you'll see why I'll go to another direction, or I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that ball.
Okay, now you've got 2 strikes on you. You would think the bunt is no longer in order here.
Yeah, but I thought I might trick him or I missed a sign, one or the other there.
The interesting thing is, though, you got a guy on deck who's a terrific athlete, John Smoltz.
John Smoltz.
And in that situation, if John Smoltz was on deck, I might have Mark Lemke bunting him over. If it had been a bad hitter as a pitcher, I would have had him swinging.
Instead, he pokes one to third, so the runner has to hold as King makes the play. And up comes Smoltz, who hit 160 with a homer for the year and always was a good hitting pitcher.
And he did have 2 hits in Game 4.
Little looper leaned with the leaping grab in shallow right center.
Jim Leland used to like to play the infield in. In that situation, that ball might be a base hit. He might have been playing him in a little bit to try to cut off the run at home, knowing that it's probably end up being a low-scoring game.
Now it's up to Otis Nixon. Berryhill still at second, now with 2 out. And Merced scoops it up and finishes the Braves.
3 innings in the books in Atlanta. 1-0 Pirates.
All right, when we come back, Doug Drabek might be in command on the mound, but at the plate, not so much. So it's still a 1-0 game with the Pirates leading Game 7 of the NLCS. To the top of the 5th now, Mike LaValliere, the catcher for Pittsburgh, up against Smoltz.
And that's probably the first time we noticed some kind of disagreement, either verbally or physically shown towards Randy Marsh's strike zone. Up to that point, I thought he was doing a really good job.
On the 3-2 pitch, LaValliere thought he had the walk, punched out instead.
Well hit and hooking toward the corner. Gant was over in left center field. He has a long way to go to retrieve it. And Chico leaned has a 1-out double. We're in the top of the 5th inning. The Pirates lead 1-0. Doug Drabek at the plate. When the runner at second base is Jose Lean. Struck him out on the breaking ball. Drabek lost the bat.
Doug, as you can see, he has a really good approach about hitting a guy who throws 95. He's almost out of the box forward. For some reason, I tried to explain to Dougie, the further you get back, the more time you have to hit. He didn't understand that concept.
So now here's Alex Cole trying to bring Lean home from second with 2 out.
That's well hit to right. Justice in front of the track makes the catch. Halfway through Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, John Smoltz and the Braves trail 1-0.
I think we were comfortable with the way John Smoltz was pitching. We were fine with that. We were just trying to figure out how we're going to get to Doug Drabek.
It's one thing when a guy's got 4 pitches and 2 of them are working. Doug Drabek had 4 pitches. He had all 4 working that night. So, pick your poison.
Yeah.
You might not even get the pitch you're looking for.
Well, let's see how you try to deal with him. Bottom of the 5th, you're up against Drabek.
There's another ground ball.
Bell throws out Bream.
I did have a double against Dougie at some point in that series. I knew that, but
You tried to forget about those ground balls, huh? We had to remind you.
And look at the drop on that curveball he just finished Gant with, and that brings up Berryhill, who had doubled his last time. Lean from the outfield grass, and another 1-2-3 inning for Drabek.
And a short one, which was really important that Dougie had short innings, that the more we extended Doug Drabek, the better I felt that we had a chance to win that ball game. The less time that we had guys warming up in the bullpen, I felt we had a better chance to win the ball game.
All right, let's look ahead when we come back. John Smoltz and Randy Marsh can't see eye to eye. You're watching game number 4 on the countdown of the 20 greatest of the last 50 years.
And now the Phillies lead in this ball game 23-22.
Here comes Snow. Here's the throw home. It is in time, and Snow is out at the plate.
Maddox going, it's over. The Phillies win it. 8-7.
Ortiz into deep right field. Back is Sheffield. We'll see you later tonight.
1-1 pitch. Ground ball right side. Got to sneak through. Here comes Gomez around third. The throw to the plate by Thomas. Not in time. Twins head to New York. They win the American League Central.
And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it.
Now the 2-2. Well hit down the left field line. Way back and gone!
Touch a ball, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
See ya! See ya! See ya! He is Mr. November.
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead 3-2.
So improbable, the impossible has happened.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
To left field and deep and down he goes back and it's gone. Unbelievable. You're looking at one for the ages here.
Again in the air, down the left field line. O'Leary reaching into the stands and couldn't get it, and he's livid with a fan.
I'm surprised someone hasn't thrown that fan onto the field.
As Boone hits it to deep left, that might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
Struck him out. And the New York Mets have won the 1986 National League pennant.
So, Andy Van Slyke, Sid Bream, and Mark Lemke are here as we review Game 4 on the countdown, and I can see viewers at home, okay, what haven't we gotten to yet? What 3 are left, and in what order? You got to stick with us over the next few weeks. This is game number 4, top of the 6th. Jay Bell at the plate. Sean McDonough again with the call.
Bell rips one into the left field corner. Gant will play it off the wall as Jay Bell pulls into second with a double.
hanging sliders.
Yeah, you can hear Smoltz say, dang it, as soon as he let it go. I mean, you get 2 strikes, 0-2 counts on Smoltz that year. Hitters were 0-97.
Yeah.
So now you got a chance here, Andy. Take us through this at bat against Smoltz.
Well, you know, John has great command. I know he's either going to come way in or try to do that, get me to chase down and in, or throw something fastball away and hopefully not be able to hook it. So I only got one job to do, and that's just to get him over. Even though I believe with Barry Bonds on deck, there's a likelihood they're going to end up potentially walking in and try to set up the double play. I still have to trust the fact that my teammates are going to perform.
Up the middle, Lemke can't get it. Bell being waved around, and he will score, and the Pirates lead 2-0.
Now, Smoltz had done well against you coming into the series. You were a 161 career hitter against him, but you went 5 for 10 against him in the NLCS this year.
Well, in that situation, I actually got lucky. They played me where they should have been playing me. They were playing me on the right side, deep in the hole. As you saw, the ball was not hit very sharply, but it was hit to the right side of the field. It just happened to find the middle of the field.
Barry Bonds. The pop-up. Pendleton takes command. 1 out. Orlando Merced in the air, in shallow right center. Justice the catch. Jeff King waits, and Slyke on the run. King lifts it, and in left center, Gant has room. The Braves come up in the bottom of the 6th, trailing 2-0.
So Bonds popped up, Orlando Merced flied out, then Jeff King flied out to end the inning. So you settle for the 1, but up 2-0, and the way Drabek is throwing, that 2 looks big.
Well, it does look big, but again, I don't think 2's enough. And I'm thinking in my mind, we got to figure out how to score that 3rd run. There's a huge difference between a 2-0 lead in my mind than there is a 3-0 lead. When you get a base hit and you get a hanging breaking ball, you tie the ball game. It's another thing to try to hit 3 base hits together and try to score 3 runs on 1 swing. So I'm feeling that we got to figure out some way at this point forward to score another run.
All right, 2-0 Pittsburgh going to the bottom of the 6th. When we come back, Mark will try to ignite a rally for the Braves.
Mr. October.
The Braves are down 2-0 to the Pirates as they come up in the bottom of the 6th. Mark, you're going to lead it off against Drabek.
There's a base hit, and that brings the fans to their feet.
Breaking ball, that was a pitch that I really struggled with off of Drabek. You know, he was getting it over the plate, and I would try to get the one that maybe he would just keep up a little bit to try to throw for a strike.
And one of the few mistakes he did actually end up throwing.
This will be pitch number 73 of the night for Drabek.
This is Jeff Treadway hitting for Smoltz, and he delivers, although this is a reluctant move by Cox. He's got to get Smoltz out after just 6 innings of work.
Well, it's a move he has to make, obviously, being down by 2, but he's set up pretty well here on that blue hit, 1st and 2nd, and nobody out.
This is the pitching coach, Ray Miller, to the mound to talk with Drabek as Otis Nixon is due next.
And really, I mean, when you look at the way he's pitching, I mean, he hasn't really made a terrible mistake yet. It's just that they put 2 softballs into play, and that's just, you know, the magnification of it shows you just how exciting it can be.
Big play here as Nixon's going to try to bunt.
A high chopping bunt could be a problem. Merced has no play.
Bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah.
And as you know, Otis likes to bunt. He's a very good bunter. I thought it was a bunt situation. There was a conference on the mound, and you'll see on this replay, Merced is behind the runner at first base.
Yeah,
a little bit surprised.
I don't understand that right there. I mean, because that's, I mean, you know, going into that thing, I mean, Otis is going to bunt to try to get guys over to 2nd to 3rd. I mean, there's just no way around that one. So I don't understand that with what Orlando was doing.
So the next hitter is Jeff Blauser with a chance to sustain the rally, base hit, probably ties it, and put you in a position to take the lead. Drabek in his toughest jam of the night.
Don't take too big a lead. Stay close.
Memo to self.
Yeah.
The 2-1 pitch. Fastball line to 3rd. Caught. Double play. Right at King was the line drive, and he easily doubled off Lemke.
You're in no man's land.
Yep. A position you don't want to be in, but, you know, the momentum had King going towards 3rd base. There's nothing I really thought I could do.
I don't even think, you know, in that situation, I don't even know if you're 2 steps off the base where you get back.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Pendleton, trying to salvage the inning, and Drabek thought he had him struck out.
Ball's right down the middle. I mean, you know, again, umpires don't perform sometimes at a level in which we expect them to, just like guys like me who choked in the playoffs.
Bonds is there to make the play on Pendleton, and how deflating is this, Sid and Mark, to have the bases loaded with nobody out, down 2 runs, you've had to hit for Smoltz, you come up empty?
Well, I think that just is an indication of how Doug Drabek was pitching. I think normally with the way John Smoltz was pitching, maybe you don't see Bobby Cox go to a pinch hitter there, but he's thinking, hey, we got to get some offense going here and pretty quickly against this guy. So to have that, to squander that opportunity certainly hurt us a little bit.
And Andy, you have to be feeling pretty good. I mean, you know, baseball's a crazy game. You get a ground ball single, a bloop single, a bunt single, and the hardest ball hit turns it to 2 outs.
Right.
So you're walking off the field thinking you dodged a big bullet. Things are going your way.
Not only did I think we dodged a bullet, I thought that the bullets were out of the chamber. I really thought that was such a deflating moment for the Braves that I didn't think they had a chance mentally to come back. And with the way Doug was pitching, I didn't really see Doug having another inning like that. Like you said, you had 2 bleeders, a pop-up bunt that should have been an out. Maybe
Quit calling mine a bleeder, will you?
It was a bleeder. It was just like mine. Mine was a bleeder. A bleeder's a bleeder. But I really felt at that point psychologically that we were in the position we needed to be. Doug I don't think was going to have another inning like that. And again, being down 3-1 or being up 3-1 and feeling that pressure again start to mount, I can guarantee you a lot of those guys in the dugout were thinking, I cannot believe we're going to blow this lead.
When we come back, Smoltz is out of the game. Cox has to go to his bullpen, and I believe it was in the bylaws of Major League Baseball for a good portion of the 90s and into the first decade of this century that if you play a postseason, Kenny Lofton has to be in it with one team or another, and Mike Stanton has to be in it with one team or another, and he'll be in it for the Braves when we come back. It's Game 4 on the countdown. It's Game 7 of the NLCS from October of '92. The Pirates and the Braves. Andy Van Slyke, Sid Bream, and Mark Lemke are with us. We go to the 7th, and as we mentioned earlier, Mike Stanton now on in relief for the Braves.
Greeted immediately by the base hit by Mike LaValliere. Drabek gets the bunt down. Bream has to go to first. Lemke covering.
Drabek bunts with 1 out. Leaned had flied out for the first out. So now with 2 down, LaValliere's at second base.
And this tells me how much Jim Leyland wants another run, because he's going to use his best pinch hitter here, who's not going to get a chance to swing the bat, and also weaken himself defensively by putting McClendon in the game for Cole in right field. But he wants 1 more run.
Yeah, I was really feeling it, like I said earlier, I really felt the same way that to me, there's a big difference. I think there's a bigger difference between 2 and 3 than there is 3 and 4 in the game of baseball. So Jim, I think, obviously felt the same way.
So Pete Smith comes on for Stanton, and Jay Bell, who doubled his last time up off Smoltz, is the hitter.
Now the 3-0 pitch. Ball 4. He walked him on 4 pitches.
That was a breaking ball. A breaking ball on a 3-0 count with Van Slyke and Bonds coming up? No way.
McCarver's beside himself that he throws a breaking ball on 3-0, 4-pitch walk.
There again, I mean, you know, if you're confident as a pitcher, I mean, shoot, you got a base open and you set up a double play right there.
Cox not happy that he has to use his 3rd pitcher of the inning, Avery against Andy.
22-year-old Steve Avery with another 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, it'll stay in the ballpark. And Otis Nixon is there. The Pirates leave the bases loaded without scoring in the 7th. 7th inning stretch in Game 7. The Pirates up 2-0.
I tell you what, I got an opportunity to face Avery not at his best in that situation. He actually had thrown 2 balls. It was a 2-0 count. And like Tom had said earlier, I really felt that particular at-bat, when I had touched first base and missed an opportunity to take a 2-0 fastball right down the middle and do something and put more runs on the board, was going to end up hurting us. I don't know why, but there was something in my heart and something in my mind said that really hurt our chances. Now, I still like the fact that we were up 2-0. I still like the fact that Doug was pitching terrific, but I really felt that 3rd or 4th run absolutely would have shut the coffin closed.
Well, Andy, you hit in front of Barry Bonds, and Bobby had mentioned his troubles in the NLCS with Pittsburgh. How much did that weigh on the Pirates and the whole lineup, waiting for the big bat in your lineup to get going, and it never really did come?
You know, it's interesting. Barry psychologically was not the same player in the playoffs than he was during the regular season. Barry had this cockiness, this willingness to even brag about how he was going to beat up a pitcher or beat up a guy coming out of the bullpen. I can remember being on deck, and Barry would predict almost sometimes what he was going to do to the pitcher coming into the ballgame. Now, we got the postseason, and something happened. I can remember Barry making a statement that really shocked me from the type of superstar that he was, not only physically but mentally, that he asked his teammates to get him to the World Series, and he would start performing at a level which we were accustomed to watching. And I went to him and turned around and said, well, why don't you start now so we can get there? So, I mean, he was guilty of not performing at a level which we were accustomed to, but I was just as guilty, because between Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke, and Bobby Bonilla, I don't think we hit 200 as three guys as a trio in 90 and 91.
But I think you feel that probably more so yourself than the opposing team. We still look at it like we'd like not to see you or Bonds or any of those guys up in tight situations.
I mean, they were guys, I mean, that could take the team on their shoulders. I mean, and when they were hitting, I mean, you hoped that there was a base open so you could get them on first base.
So the Pirates leave the bases loaded in the top of the 7th, can't improve on a 2-0 lead. Drabek back to work in the bottom half, facing Dave Justice.
Lean, bobbled from his knees.
I thought that was really interesting. And, Mark, you could talk about this as a second baseman. When you watch his footwork, the way he's not working through the ball here, a little bit back on his heels, break that down for me.
Well, it looked like he might have let that ball play him a little bit, and field's starting to get chopped up a little bit. He's used to the turf in Pittsburgh, and but a guy like Lean, he's so good.
Sid Bream.
Here you go, Sid.
Hey.
Lines it, it's slicing away from Van Slyke and in for an extra base hit. Bream, after 5 knee operations, doesn't run very well, and it doesn't really matter in this case. It's a double all the way for the former Pirate, Sid Bream.
Gant at the plate now, but as we saw you chug into second base, Sean McDonough mentioned the 5 knee operations. You got a brace on your knee. How painful was it for you at that point?
Well, I don't know as far as being painful. I just know that, I mean, at that point in time, I had to process what I was going to do before I got to a place. I mean, I couldn't go into home plate on a tag situation and not know what I was going to do, because, I mean, I didn't know if my knee was going to hold up to it. I mean, I couldn't plant and try to avoid a tag, I mean, because of the way my knee, how bad my knee was at that point.
This is a big double, though, because now you put some stress on Drabek here. Gant at the plate, we know, terrific fastball hitter. Doug's going to throw 9 consecutive breaking balls to Ron Gant here. So I think now you're starting to tax Drabek more than you did the middle innings.
3 foul balls coming up after the count goes full.
Another 3-2 pitch, high in the air. Bonds drifting toward the stands.
But there again, I mean, as Andy's saying, I mean, what command to be able to throw curveball after curveball after curveball after curveball for strikes. I mean, you know, what an awesome pitching duel right here. I mean, an awesome pitching event.
And finally, Gant works the walk, and he kind of throws his bat away triumphantly. He earned that walk, and the pitch count continues to build for Drabek. Berryhill had a double off him earlier in the game, lifts this one to Bonds.
And here again, I mean, you're looking, you know, without myself and Gant getting on first base, you don't get up to that inning where Terry Pendleton leads off that inning. I mean, so those are things to think about as well.
Mark, you're due, but you're pulled back, and Lonnie Smith comes up.
Yeah, well, I think Bobby now is starting to feel the pressure. We need to score some runs, and we need to do something when we get an opportunity here. And Lonnie Smith has been a great postseason performer. And he's done
this one really shocked me.
That didn't surprise you, Mark? I mean, you
shocked
base hit your last time. Lonnie hit .226 against right-handers, and he's going right on right here.
No, I think Lonnie's come up with big hits and big home runs for us in the past, so I could see Bobby's thinking there.
So the Braves had the bases loaded in the previous inning. They strand 2 here, still nothing to show for it, and now you're just 6 outs away.
6 outs away, and the way Doug's pitching. And again, you mentioned pitch count earlier, Bob. At this point, I don't think Jim Leyland is concerned about it. Ray Miller, the pitching coach, is not concerned. I know Doug Drabek's not going to give up the ball. You're going to have to pull it out of his hand.
Okay, you know Doug Drabek. He's the ultimate competitor. Like a John Smoltz, pitch counts out the window. But it seems like the Braves at least have taxed him that inning. He had to throw 17 pitches out of the stretch late in the game with a runner in scoring position. at least you're putting some pressure on him, getting some chances.
Well, we're starting to break through a little bit, but we're not getting that big hit. But I think like Sid mentioned earlier, there's that feeling on our side that if we can get that opportunity just one more time, we can come back once again.
Now, you're out of the game, so you're in the dugout. How close are you to Bobby Cox?
I'm at the other end of the dugout.
Other end?
Yeah. We weren't seeing eye to eye at that moment.
So I would have been upset.
So sitting
No, I
here,
was not upset about it.
sitting here, you're saying reasonable move to pull you and send Lonnie up. But then I hear you saying you were hot about it.
No, you want to be the guy in those situations. I think you dream about it as a kid. I grew up in upstate New York. I watched Reggie Jackson, his heroics, and you dream about those situations. You want to be that guy. If you can't, then you're happy for your teammate if he comes through. But then he doesn't come through, and now there's nothing you can do about it at this point. And that becomes the hardest part, is when you're a guy on the bench, you can't come into the game, you're done. You know the season could possibly be over for you at that present moment.
Okay, up next, a Hall of Famer makes his first appearance. That's a football Hall of Famer. Back with Game 7 of the 1992 National League Championship Series. Still 2-0 Pirates. As the top of the 8th begins, Steve Avery is working for the Braves.
Barry Bonds leads off against Steve Avery with a base hit.
You know, here's something with Steve Avery. I mean, you know, he's not used to coming into a ball game. I mean, he's used to starting a ball game, so it's a total mental shift for him. I mean, coming into a game like this. So I can see why Andy talking about not being sharp. I mean, I can see why he's not doing that.
Blauser gets the lead runner here, and that is key as he cuts down Bonds. Merced was a switch hitter, batting from the right side against the lefty Avery. Good play by Blauser.
Yeah, nice play by Blaus. Knew that there wasn't going to be a possibility for a double play, but you got to get that out and get the lead runner.
So now here's Jeff King. Merced is the runner at first now.
Slap down the right field line. It is a fair ball right along the line. The runner is being waved around third. Merced to the plate, and he is out at home.
I think that ball carrying him off that wall by the bullpen, stopping it short of going in the corner, was the whole key to that play.
Yeah.
Aggressive move by the third base coach, Rich Donnelly. He sends Merced with one out here, and Justice with the throw to the plate to Berryhill, and they get him.
The reason that Rich Donnelly sent Merced was because of the guy who's up at bat right now, Mike LaValliere.
Ed Montague made the right call. It was a fair ball. Now the 1-2 pitch. Softly toward left. Gant makes the running catch.
Well, so again, the Pirates have lost a chance to add to their lead. The pitcher is still Doug Drabek, and he is still working on a shutout, though he's had to work in and out of some jams. And look who he faces now in the bottom of the 8th. Deion Sanders, who was shuttling between football with the Falcons and baseball with the Braves throughout this postseason.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Blew him away with the fastball. Otis Nixon. Bonds on the run into the bullpen area to make the catch. 2 away in the 8th inning. Jeff Blauser struck him out. Another live fastball from Drabek, who works a 1-2-3 8th inning. Then we go to the 9th. The Pirates 2 and the Braves nothing.
Drabek with 2 strikeouts in the inning as he gets Blauser swinging. 5 strikeouts and just 1 walk for the game. A shutout through 8, but now, Tom, he's thrown 120 pitches.
120 pitches, but that's something he did quite often. In fact, he did it 12 times during the regular season. He was the kind of guy, as you know, Andy, not only pitched deep into a game, but kept his stuff deep into games.
Well, I think the 8th inning, the way he pitched the 8th inning, was why Jim sent him back out for the 9th and why Jim stuck with him as long as he did in the 9th. It would have been a different scenario, I think, if he had struggled a little bit in the 8th like he did in the 7th. But the way he pitched in the 8th, he threw fastballs by people. In the 8th inning with 120 pitches, that shows me the guy still got his stuff.
So were you hoping somebody else came out of the Pirate bullpen?
I know I wasn't.
All right, let's head now to the top of the 9th. It's Jeff Reardon coming in as the new pitcher for the Braves. After Jose Lean flies out and Drabek, staying in the game, strikes out, Lloyd McClendon is the hitter, and the count is 3-0, and he walks him on 4 pitches.
You know, it would have been interesting to see if if a base runner had gotten on in front of Doug Drabek, whether Jim Leland would have pinched hit in that situation.
Probably would have had him bunt.
I think he probably had him bunt, but again, what if he hits a double? Does he bring a pinch hitter in? So it was interesting that Jeff got the first 2 outs.
Strike one to Jay Bell. It shows the confidence, as you said, that Leland had in Drabek. Even though he'd thrown 120 pitches, he'd been in some tough spots, he didn't hit for him in the bottom of the 8th.
No, and I don't think I would have either. The way he was pitching, at that point in the game, he was our best chance to get 3 outs in the 9th.
As Reardon uncorks a wild pitch, McClendon advances but pulls something, looks like a hamstring, as he arrives at second base. And now Leland has to burn a player. He's got to use Cecil Espy to run for him.
And at that point in the game, Bobby Cox had gone through his roster much more aggressively than Jim Leland had, and we had no more bench players left on the Atlanta Braves.
Bell down to third. Pendleton stayed down with it, and that ends the inning. Last call for the Atlanta Braves. Pendleton, Justice, and Bream coming up. We go to the bottom of the 9th in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Pittsburgh leads 2-0.
We still believe. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind. I mean, knowing that team that year, we still believe.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where now you got to do anything you can. We had all kinds of rally things to get things going because we did believe. And I think the traits of a good comeback team is not allowing those tack-on runs all game long, that we held it down, held the fort right where it was at, and gave us that opportunity to make a comeback.
So when we come back, the Braves have their rally caps out in full force. This is MLB's 20 greatest games, number 4 on the list.
Welcome back for the bottom of the 9th inning of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pittsburgh Pirates trying to become the first National League team to come from 3 games to 1 behind to win the NLCS.
And to start it for the Braves in the bottom of the 9th, the hitter is Terry Pendleton, the MVP the year before, hit .311 in '92, 0 for 3 to this point in this game.
Pendleton pulls it down the right field line, hooking toward the corner. It is a fair ball. Pendleton on his way to second with a leadoff double.
Now Justice, who had 2 home runs the game before off the knuckleballer Wakefield, is the tying run at the plate after the double by Pendleton.
Rounded to the right, booted by Lee. Pendleton to third on the play.
And it could turn out to be the biggest error of his life.
Doug makes a good pitch. I mean, he gets Justice to roll over on a breaking ball. And it was interesting that he backhanded the ball when I think he had an opportunity to actually catch it with an open glove in front of him. But I think Lean had made 6 errors the whole year, led the league at second base in defense. So it was actually shocking to me that he had actually made that play.
First and third now, nobody out. Here you are, Sid. On 4 pitches, Drabek loses you, bases loaded.
Yeah, Doug and I were great friends. I mean, I've joked in the past. I mean, he knew that the game was over right then if he had a pitch to me. But but at the same time, I mean, that's difficult for him at that point in time.
As Belinda comes in, you're the winning run. You're slow, the 5 knee surgeries.
Watch
yourself,
yourself.
He can't run for you because he needs Brian Hunter. He needs to hold him back as a possible pinch hitter.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I still go to the fact we had pitchers on the bench that could run a lot quicker than me. And
so he could have gone to his pitcher.
He could have gone to a pitcher. I mean, we had, you know, as the inning unfolded, you had Brian Hunter that came up and hit. You had Francisco Cabrera that either of those guys could have played first base. You know, so why he left me in at that point in time when he had pitchers over on that bench, I don't know, but I'm thankful.
Were you looking toward the dugout when you got to first base?
Oh, you know, I'm just I'm caught up in the moment.
Now with Ron Gant, the hitter, bases loaded, nobody out, you saw Stan Belinda trotting in from the bullpen. Now this is not your normal closer circumstance with Belinda. Nominally, he was the closer. He's making only his 2nd appearance of the series, and his first appearance, actually he's pitched only 1 inning in the previous 10 days, and that was in Game 2. You had gotten complete game wins from Walk and from Wakefield. So this isn't like, hey, our closer's getting work every day.
Well, we're feeling great. And then we got Ron Gant up there, a guy that's come through so many times for us and in so many tight situations. They're bringing in a new pitcher, and we got what we wanted. We got Doug Drabek out of that ballgame.
So now with the bases loaded, Belinda faces Gant. Nobody out.
Tying run at second, winning run at first. Gant hits one to left. Bonds on the track, at the wall, makes the catch. Pendleton on to score the first Atlanta run of the ball game.
Right there, we thought that might have did it.
Yeah.
So did I.
I bet a lot of people in the stadium did.
I almost swallowed my glove.
He did not miss that by much.
No,
The tying run is Justice at second. Bream, a slow runner, represents the winning run at first base.
As Pendleton scores, the throw to the infield goes to third and keeps the tying run at second with Berryhill at the plate.
And in my opinion, this is the biggest at-bat in the ball game.
And why is that? Because I know Jim Leland, the manager, felt the same way
because
about
that's the strike. That's a strike right there. Instead of being 1 and 2, now it's 2 and 1. It shifts totally in the Berryhill's favor. And to me, Belinda looks very comfortable, and he's attacking the strike zone. Now that's a ball. Now it's 3 and 1. But you're going to see here the next few pitches is why a lot of guys, including myself, felt that the strike zone had changed in this particular situation.
3-1 pitch. Ball four.
And that ball, gotten squeezed
that ball's
there
right
too.
down the middle. I mean, there's no other way to explain that ball's right down the middle. Is it Randy Marsh's fault we lost the game? No. Did it change the situation? Absolutely.
So you thought both the 1-1 pitch and certainly that one on 3-1 were strikes.
Well, those are 3 strikes. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Now, if he has 2 strikes on him, does he swing the bat? Probably. But the fact is, with a 3-1 count, Berryhill is in the driver's seat. He doesn't even have to swing the bat.
We're looking at it like good eye.
Yeah, absolutely. But the ball's right down the middle.
So now the bases are loaded again. The tying run is at third. The winning run in the person of Sid Bream is at second. Only 1 out, and the pinch hitter is Hunter.
Pittsburgh leads 2-1. 1 out, and the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th. Hunter, little looper, leaned is there and makes the catch. The runner tags but will not try it. 2 down in the bottom of the 9th.
And this, I mean, truthfully, this is where, as a veteran ball player, I was sitting out at second base saying, sheesh, we just lost our opportunity right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that play right there with Brian Hunter popping up, my head kind of, I mean, my heart kind of went down, and I thought, man, we just lost our chance to at least tie it up to go into extra innings, but Francisco was coming.
All right, let's stop right there. Stretch this thing out a little bit. Coming up,
Gee, thanks.
Francisco Cabrera has his moment with the season and the series on the line.
As Francisco Cabrera comes to the plate to bat for the pitcher. He appeared in only 12 games this year for the Braves and batted only 10 times with 3 hits. He's 0 for 1 in this series.
Well, at this point, Bobby Cox has only 2 choices. Doesn't have a left-handed bat left on the bench. He's got his 2 reserve catchers. Javi Lopez, who eventually would become a star, had only 16 at-bats in 1992. He decides to go with Cabrera, who had been up for a while in 1991, had a little bit more major league experience, had spent much of 92 at AAA Richmond, brought up to the big club on August 31st, so barely eligible for the postseason. But in his 10 previous at-bats in the regular season, he had 3 hits, and 2 of them were homers. He had faced Stan Belinda once before in his career, the year before in 1991, and he homered off of him. Now, even though he had some pop in his bat, and he's a right-handed hitter, as the story goes, you're out there in center field, and you're yelling to Bonds, move in, move in.
Right.
True?
Yeah, it is true. In that situation, I have a very aggressive philosophy. If I'm going to lose the ball game, you're going to have to hit the ball over my head. And most of your base hits are in front of you as an outfielder anyways. And I just felt in this situation that he's going to have to hit the ball in the gap or out of the ballpark for us to lose. I know one thing. I moved in about 4 steps. And I just wanted an opportunity. Even though Sid wasn't the fastest guy in the field, you still have to defensively put yourself in a position, if the ball's not hit hard enough to get to you, to have an opportunity to throw somebody out. I looked over at Barry. I was telling him to move in, move in, move in. Because in the pitch count, Cabrera had actually taken a 2-0 pitch and lined one foul. Hit it really, really hard. And at that point, I said, well, it looks to me like he's a dead fastball hitter. He's a pull hitter. Hopefully Belinda can throw a breaking ball maybe to get him out. But having said that, he's going to hit the ball either to me or he's going to hit it to Barry. If he hits the ball in the outfield, he's certainly not going to hit the ball to right field. So I want Barry to have the best opportunity also. So when I motioned him in, he turned and looked at me and gave me international peace sign. So I said, fine, you play where you want.
He gave you the finger.
Well, yeah, that's one way of saying it.
All right, so the stage has been set. Game 7, the whole deal is on the line. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Sid represents the winning run. He's at second base. Cabrera's the hitter. Belinda's on the mound. Bonds has flipped Van Slyke off, and here we go.
Belinda's first pitch, a breaking ball outside.
And you can see there, that's exactly what they want to do. They want to make him swing at a breaking ball in the strike zone. And this is, again, I think the lack of pitching really hurt his command.
And I thought this was a key point here. It says a lot about Bobby Cox. 2-0, a young kid at the plate. Go ahead and swing, he tells Francisco Cabrera.
Yeah, I like that about Bobby. He used to let his hitters swing 3-0, 2-0 in this situation. I always really respected that about Bobby. He would trust his players to perform.
The 2-0 pitch. Well hit, but hooking fouled and left. He had the green light on 2-0 and hammered it. He doesn't walk much. He walked only 17 times in 300 at-bats in AAA this year. He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit. Justice has scored the tying run. Bream to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
There you go, Speedster.
Oh, boy, I was hoping those people in left field were blowing on my back, give me some tailwind.
Nice play by LaValliere. The diving attempted tag.
You know, it's interesting. You see Mike standing there almost trying to deke Sid to slow down, not even acting like the ball's coming into play. But Sid, being a veteran, knew that there was going to be a play at the plate, understood that Barry was a good defensive outfielder, and ran hard all the way to home plate, which I think made the difference of 1 or 2 feet of being safer out.
But you could see how much ground Bonds had to cover before he could scoop up the ball. And eventually we're going to see you sitting out there dejectedly in center field. This would be the last postseason game in which you would ever play.
I knew that when we spoke earlier about that window being shut, that my head was in between the window pane and my neck was getting shut with the window, that it was over for the Pirates as far as being a competitive team in the National League.
And Sid, you scored from second base on a single 2 times all year. And in this case, we talked about the Hunter at bat, the second out. Yeah, it was a missed opportunity, but as we saw there, it allowed you to get that secondary lead. Absolutely. Obviously, you're going on contact, and you had a terrific jump on that ball.
And I share that all the time. I mean, it was the best scenario for me. I mean, 2 outs. I mean, Sam Belinda, he wasn't going to try to pick me off at second base. I mean, I extended myself as much as I could. So, I mean, I had the best opportunity, best scenario for me to be able to come in and beat it by 4 inches. I mean, you know, where other people would have been into the dugout up in the clubhouse. I mean, I was just coming in and sliding, you know, at home plate, and it was great for me.
And, you know, Tom, you and I were talking about this earlier before we sat down with these 3 guys. If you were shooting a movie and tried to stage the play at the plate, you would need 100 takes to have it come out in that classic fashion. The lunge, the slide, just by a whisker. I mean, you couldn't stage it any better than that.
No, it was cinematic, really, that kind of finish. And it's the only moment in baseball history where you have a walk-off hit with the team trailing, where if he makes an out, the series is over. The only time, think about that, where it decided a series, flip of a coin.
Yeah, 1 out when
Single
Bobby
Braves
Thompson
win,
homered.
out Pirates win. The only time it's ever happened in baseball history. I got to know, Sid, and once you know you're safe, you didn't get up. People were on you right away. What did it feel like at that moment to be underneath everyone?
I mean, I've shared a lot, I mean, over the years. I mean, and it's inevitable that whether I'm in Pittsburgh or Atlanta, that play is brought up. And they asked me that question a lot. I mean, I said at that point in time, the adrenaline was running so much. I mean, there was so much good feelings. I mean, and if I wanted to, I could have thrown them all off at that point in time. But I didn't feel any of the pressure of anybody getting on. I've been in fights where I've been in the bottom of the pile, and I know what that feels like, getting suffocated. I didn't feel like I was being suffocated at all right there.
Where were you? How did you react?
I was on top of Sid somewhere. I mean, I was in the dugout, obviously out of the ball game, and just thinking if they get the hit, it's going to be a play at the plate, and Sid's rounding third, and everybody's out of the dugout at this moment. Sid's not even home yet. We're going to greet him. Then when we're about halfway there, you could see Otis Nixon jump up in the air. He was the first one. David Justice jumped on top of you. Oh, it was crazy.
Well, Andy, we saw the picture of you in center field there sitting down, but as the play was unfolding and you're doing the calculation, you know it's going to be close. Take me through your thoughts as the play unfolds, and then especially once you finally do get back to the clubhouse and what that must have been like.
Well, it's interesting how fast your mind can work and yet how slow things can work in the process of a play or even a pitch being unfolding in front of you. And when this play unfolded in front of me, I could tell that Barry was going to have an opportunity or a chance to throw out Sid. From my angle, I didn't realize that he had to go as far to his left as he had to go. I thought the ball was actually hit right at him from my angle. And I thought, my first initial thought was, man, I wish you had moved up. I mean, that was my first thought. But as soon as he caught the ball, I could tell Sid was maybe a step past third base. I still thought Barry had a chance. Even though Barry could hit the ball at the ballpark, run the bases as well as anybody, was the best player in the National League. The thing that, it's interesting, that one thing that Barry did poorly, I shouldn't say poorly, the weakest thing he did on the field was throw a baseball. And it ended up being the thing that hurt us and not get us into the World Series.
After the game, was there any conversation between the two of you about you urging him to move in?
No,
as
none
Cabrera
whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I kept that closed and in my heart for many, many years. It wasn't until I was done playing that I actually had mentioned that.
So take us into that clubhouse, Andy, and let's also remember 1990, you lose the last game of that series to Cincinnati 2-1. 1991, we know about 2 straight shutout losses, and now here in 1992, you're losing on a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th inning. Jim Leyland, Barry Bonds, did you share anything among those two or anyone in that clubhouse? What was it like?
It was the quietest, least amount of words spoken that I've ever experienced anywhere. I've been to funerals that people had more conversations and interaction with. There's absolutely nothing you could say to comfort and console your teammate. I mean, guys were crying. I was crying because I knew, like we mentioned early in the show, that this was the door that slammed the Pirates shut. I didn't realize it was going to be as long as it was going to be, but our opportunity as a franchise and as a city and as a fan base to get into the World Series and have the potential of winning it was shut that night.
Andy, I just wonder for you, you saw this again. I'm sure you've seen it thousands of times. Does it still hurt to see it again?
Well, actually, it hadn't until I was sitting here today. I mean, I had gotten it over it, but sometimes when wounds are deep and you open them up again, they hurt a lot more than you anticipate. So sure, it hurts because not only on a personal level, but it hurts me even to this day to see where the Pittsburgh Pirates are and where they used to be. And I almost feel not responsible, but it was an opportunity that maybe today the pain of what's going on in Pittsburgh may be a little bit less for the fan base and for the people who really appreciate Pittsburgh Pirate history. That pain that which they're going through right now might be lessened if we went on the World Series and potentially had a chance to win it.
Sid, we'll leave you with the last word. You still live in Pittsburgh. You have a close to unique perspective here. You played for the Pirates. You were the guy who broke the Pirates' hearts in this one. You still live there. Your thoughts?
Being around Pittsburgh right now, it still lives on. I mean, I can't go out of the place. I can't go out into the community without somebody still bringing up that play. And, they have described it as the Bream curse now for 18 years. I mean, it's the Bream curse now. And they wanted me to burn my jersey last year to try to break the Bream curse. But, it was still one of those opportunities. I mean, I am so thankful that the Lord gave me an opportunity to be a part of. And it has lived on. It has given me an opportunity to go out and speak in the community. I mean, other than that, I wasn't an Andy Van Slyke in my days. or Barry Bonds or something like that, that gave me a platform to be able to go out and share.
Tom, you mentioned that he was in the same breath as Lou Brock and Maury Wills. Now we got the curse of the Bream along with the curse of the Bambino. Who would have thought?
And the curse of the Billy Goat. You're right there. There's your trifecta.
There you go.
Andy, Sid, Mark, thanks for helping us relive the heartbreak of the Pirates and the exhilaration of the Braves. For Tom Verducci, I'm Bob Costas. That's number 4 on the list. 3 to go. See you next time.
Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base.